No takes for Green Skull.
Ready up live.
Ready up live. Ready up live.
Hey guys, what up? My name's Jeff Wood. I'm editing this video so crazy right now. God, I'll never stop being dorky on the internet, will I? Hey guys, it's Jeff Wood here. You might know me as Minolta1034 on the old internet, and I am going to talk to you about two first-person shooters. First one, everybody's favorite first-person shooter, Halo! I don't know why I did it like that. Second one, the new kid on the block, Titanfall. Let's see how they stack up, what I think of them in comparison to each other, and I just want you guys to keep in mind that I'm doing this video completely subjectively, which means it's my freaking opinion, y'all! I understand that you might disagree with me. In fact, I encourage you to disagree with me and drop why in the comments below after the video. But please keep in mind that this is just my opinion, and I'm not saying that this stuff is objectively true, but subjectively true just for myself as a longtime fan of the Halo series. So, if you're a longtime fan of the Halo series and you're thinking about buying Titanfall, why don't you watch the rest of this video and I'll tell you if you're going to like it. The video is going to be split up into three parts. Part 1, I'm going to talk about campaign. Part 2, I'm going to talk about multiplayer. Part 3, I'm going to give you guys some final thoughts, conclusions, and we're going to wrap this pig up. Part 1, campaign, or in the case of Titanfall, campaign. Because the campaign is not good. Okay, Respawn, you have a great game here. You've got great gameplay, you got a lot of fun, you got the Titans, I mean, it's fantastic, but you totally missed the boat on campaign. You missed it. You missed the boat. See, my problem is that the campaign is just not a campaign. The story, it's weak. It's not interesting. It's generic. The militia versus the IMC. Oh, this big colonization government thing is coming to take over these little rebels. That's just, it's not a super interesting narrative choice. I'm sorry, guys. It just wasn't. Secondly, characters. Are there any? I don't really know. But all of that wouldn't even be a problem because they could do the storytelling outside of the multiplayer missions. In between matches of the campaign, you have about 70 seconds where you end up listening to what is essentially the militia podcast of the latest orders, whether it's, refueling something or killing somebody. None of it is specifically interesting or unique or a cool way of taking campaign elements and blending it into multiplayer, because at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. You drop in and you play one of two game types, either attrition or hardpoints. Only 2 game types? Yeah, that's not really a unique or revolutionary campaign, Respawn. That's boring. You gotta have like 10 game types, man. You gotta have a different game type for each campaign level so that you keep me entertained. Or else, you know what I'm doing? I'm just matchmaking with some boring stuff in between. And it was boring, guys. It was just not interesting. So I'm really hitting Titanfall hard, but that's because I think that campaigns or narrative-based, interactive, single-player components to games are very important. I think that they're just as important as multiplayer, and that this campaign from Respawn does not cut it. I think that you could do something incredible with the concept of multiplayer campaign though, which is why I was so disappointed when Respawn didn't. First of all, Respawn, why the heck aren't the militia characters characters? Why are they just generic pilots? Why not make them like a squad that has specific things to do, like a group of ODSTs or something like that? The intros to each match are sometimes different, and they do some cool things. I still remember when the ODST drop pod mission happened and I dropped in from orbit down onto the ground. That was neat. There's a few cool little things like that, but you could do so much more. Why are all the epilogues in the game the same? Why do you always have to go to a dropship? Why not have to disarm a bomb? Why not have to, survive for the next 3 minutes without getting found? Why don't you have to set off an EMP blast to destroy all the Titans? I don't know. Why aren't there different epilogues than just running to a ship? It's boring, it's the same thing every time, and it just doesn't excite me. It was just disappointing. The whole campaign aspect was just not unique or interesting in any way. Now let me give you an anecdote from the Halo series. I don't know if some of you remember Halo Reach, but Invasion Mode was miles ahead of anything that Titanfall has done based on campaign. And I'm going to tell you why. Because it felt like a campaign level. You had progression. There were 3 phases. Just like, I don't know, what's it called? A story arc? Three phases of a story arc? 1, 2, 3? Is that how it works? Oh yeah, exactly. And you know what? Each phase was different. The first phase, you had to take down those barriers, and then the second phase, you had to break into the vault. Third phase, you had to carry that core all the way out to the dropship. That was cool. It was unique. It was different. It had a structure. It felt like that you were accomplishing something. Titanfall, play the campaign, you just feel like you're just playing another multiplayer match. There's no elevation whatsoever, and I was really, really disappointed. I may seem like I'm coming off really harsh here or like jumping down Respawn's throat, but I think that if you're a video game developer and you set out with the goal to revolutionize or somehow intermingle the elements of campaign and multiplayer in a new or cool way, then you should actually do that, and I just don't think that they did. Titanfall 2, though? Maybe we'll see some cool stuff. All right, let's move on to multiplayer then, guys. So the multiplayer aspect is where I'm going to give Titanfall a ton of praise. A ton of praise. But there are some drawbacks. Now, first of all, let's talk about player utility. Player utility is a term that generally means the way that you can move your character around the map. And now we all know that Titanfall specializes in player utility because of the jump jets, whee, and the wall runs and everything else. Now, I'm not going to run on my wall because I can't do that. The point is that Titanfall players are high utility players. You can wall run, you can jump, you can do all of that stuff, and it's a ton of fun. Now, I was, yelling at Respawn Entertainment, but let me yell at another studio for a second. 343! Spartans are frigging awesome, and if they can't, wall run and do all sorts, like, who could do that? Nobody, right? So when we're talking about the multiplayer, the player utility of Titanfall, let's go back and look at Halo CE versus, let's say, Halo 3. Now, we all know that Master Chief, he was able to jump pretty high by the time Halo 3 rolled around. He can run pretty fast. They were constantly upping his ability, and they've done so again in Halo Reach and Halo 4 with the addition of armor abilities, jetpacks, all of that stuff. But the thing is that at this point in, I think, video game development history or whatever, people are starting to get a little bored of just being able to walk around. Now, I mean, that's not entirely true, like games like Minecraft or GTA or anything like that. I mean, obviously you're just walking around, but I think that for first-person shooters, increasing player utility isn't something that's necessarily going to kill your game. And I think that people can actually get behind it, as we've seen with Titanfall, and that increased utility can add a lot to your game, even if it does mean sort of changing maybe your map design philosophy. Now, as much as I love the high utility in Titanfall, there are some things about the multiplayer that is maybe not so good. Specifically, 15 maps? Really, Respawn? 15 maps with no campaign, no custom maps, nothing else. Sure, Halo 4, they only launched with 10 maps. Oh yeah, but they also had a 10-hour campaign and Spartan Ops on top of that. How do you only have 15 maps for this game? I mean, I know, Season Pass, stuff's coming out, you gotta sell it, whatever. But, I mean, Halo 4 came out with 9 additional maps in their DLC, so that doesn't matter. The fact is that this game should have launched with like 30 maps. Let's be honest here. If you're not going to have a campaign, where is all that time going? I just don't get it. I mean, I don't understand how the development cycle of this game could be the same as a Halo 4 or something else, and they don't even have half the content. Now, maybe Respawn is a smaller studio, they just didn't have the resources. I mean, I know that, Infinity Ward, the whole deal and stuff like that, so maybe Titanfall 2 will have some of that advancement. I'm just a little bit disappointed that people couldn't see that it needed some of it in the first one to really set it apart, in my opinion, from other FPSs in the genre. So, we've talked about utility. Now let's talk about the actual combat in Titanfall versus Halo. Now, I consider Titanfall Combat to be essentially a marriage of Call of Duty and Halo. Two of them came together, bumped uglies, and made a weird baby called Titanfall. Now, how it works is when you're on foot in Titanfall, you're essentially playing a Call of Duty game. A game that's primarily about positioning. Now, what does that mean in relation to Halo? It means that in Call of Duty or in Titanfall, what you want to do is you want to get into a position on another player that you can shoot them 2 or 3 times, that's all it takes, in order to kill them. So in that game, it's very important to be in an advantageous position over other players, and that comes secondary to something like the ability to just actually shoot them. Now, Halo, on the other hand, sort of flips those things around, and that positioning is not as important because the battles that you have with the Spartan, sure, sometimes you can just pop around a corner and kill somebody, but most of the time, if you engage somebody with a BR or DMR from pretty much any range, you're going to fight with them for, I don't know, I'd say about 10 seconds. I call this the 10-second engage, and it's one of the things that I love most about the Halo series. The fact that Spartans have a little bit more health than the average Call of Duty, Battlefield, or Titanfall character means that the battles last a little bit longer, and so it isn't as much about positioning before the fight as it is in Call of Duty and Titanfall, as it is positioning in the fight, as well as counterplay and all of that other stuff that comes into it. And that's actually where I see the Halo inspiration in Titanfall, is in the actual Titan battles. Now, if you want to know what I mean, just go play Last Titan Standing. It's a game type where everyone spawns in Titans, and you gotta kill the other team's Titans before your Titans all die. What this mode does is it puts you in a much beefier, stronger, bigger character who can't die quite as fast, who's got counterplay options like the Vortex Shield, or his rockets, or whatever you're going to do. Heck, even the eject nuclear explosion, I've used that to get double or even triple kills in Last Titan Standing. So the engages that occur in that game type are super fun, and they really remind me of Halo. I mean, especially considering the fact that the player utility is lowered significantly, with the exception of the dash. So, time for part 3. The conclusion: Halo versus Titanfall. Titanfall versus Halo. In terms of multiplayer, I think both are equally fun, and they provide different types of combat experiences, but the good thing with Titanfall is it does end up blending in some of the Halo battle mechanics that you as a Halo fan might be used to. However, it's still very Call of Duty-esque, and you're still going to be frustrated by, campers and some of the other tropes and things that you're used to from the Call of Duty series. That being said, I still think Titanfall multiplayer is a lot of fun. Maybe not quite as much fun as Halo because of the 10-second engage and some personal feelings that I have, but still a lot of fun. Unfortunately, now we have to come to campaign. And this is where Halo just blows Titanfall out of the water. It's kind of honestly hard to argue with that. I mean, Halo came with 2 really great narrative-based immersive experiences. Number 1, the campaign itself. The campaign for Halo 4 was incredible. I mean, look at the reviews for it, guys. It was done really, really well. The story, everything. I loved it, and I had a great fun time playing it. I've played through it like a million times, and it's a blast. Secondly, it also came with Spartan Ops, which is a completely different narrative experience, but was also really, really interesting, and people were super excited for it. They wanted to see more seasons and all this stuff. It's awesome, and it's something that was really, really engaging with the community. So because of that, I'm going to say Titanfall is just not quite the same game as Halo, because it just doesn't stand up in the campaign aspects of it. Multiplayer, they're pretty close, neck and neck, and if you're a fan of the Halo series, I highly recommend picking up Titanfall. It's just a great, fun first-person shooter. Do I think that you're going to be playing Titanfall over Halo 5 when Halo 5 comes out? If you're a fan of the Halo series, I really don't think that's necessary. I don't know if Titanfall is a Halo killer, but it's definitely a really cool entry into the FPS genre that I encourage everyone to go out and check out, even if the campaign's kind of crappy. So, with that said, guys, thanks for watching the video. My name, again, is Jeff Wood. You know me as Minnels1034. You can get me on the Twitters, you can get me on the Facebooks, you can get me on ReadyUpLive.com, where you should be signing up, posted on the forums. Thanks for watching one more time, guys, and I will see you next time.
In Titanfall, you fall with Titans into a battle of people and Titans. So I guess not always. Sometimes you...
I got a brand new set with the Assassin's Creed flag on the wall. Got some Halo stuff as well behind me on my left. You gotta know that I'm looking so fly right now. Dancing with my fingers pointed up at the sky.